use this game or like how people play. Now we have experience. Now we are working on the next improved versions.
I just noticed that the first minutes that we have been talking has not been sent out to people. I just got the notice that they have not seen it. I don't know why. I just updated again. It should go out now. What we have spoken about is your background, that you started in the EOS ecosystem from the start. Your team was part of the superhero network where Marcin, a team member that is no longer here, was more active there, and you were in the background and coming in. You see Wax as this ecosystem for NFTs. So let's we were just going forward from there. So can we just repeat what you were saying a few seconds ago?
Yeah, sure. So well, just to sum up, or like a quick summary. Well, I'm currently based out of Sweden. And I also am the chairman for Swedish Blockchain Association. Apart from the EOS.io experience that I come up with, I also have a couple of startups where we have a team of more than 15 people. And today, Green EOS, our block producing, or the guild service that we offer to EOS blockchains, is one of our portfolio services that we have. And in the past, I worked with companies like Ericsson, Volvo Cars, maintaining their data centers. So I come from a telecom background with a data center system administrator experience and so forth. And I think we also discussed a bit about like why I came into Wax ecosystem, or the reason why I see Wax to be successful. Just to touch upon that, I see Wax as a successful blockchain because there is an industry usage of Wax blockchain compared to other existing blockchains out there. We have real industry users using it, and also like Wax is positioning itself as the niche NFT, the king of NFT. So I really believe in that vision. I think as a startup founder myself, you need to have a clear vision and clear market goal rather than just having this open blockchain. You can build anything. Of course, you can build anything on top of Wax as well, but like, you have a clear vision and clear goal. I think that's super important for a blockchain to be successful. And moving forward, I see we are transitioning towards this more usage of NFTs within the games rather than just being collectibles. So it's going to be huge, and I want to be part of that, and I want to be part of the governance process to ensure the network reliability and quality of the network as well, serving these real industry use cases.
Yeah, and that's great. And it's my bad. I hit start, but for some reason it didn't go, and I had to hit it again. You also said that something that you look forward to is the Marvel series and to playing the Street Fighter, and you have partake in some of the NFT sales and have some fun experience from that.
Absolutely, and we are building our own games as well. So let's hope you will see them soon.
Yeah, that's awesome. And that brings us actually, because you mentioned that you want to partake in the governance of the ecosystem. So what is governance for you on a blockchain level?
Well, governance in general, I think it's a bit too broad when we talk about blockchain governance, right? So if we look at EOS, there was like ECAF and all that governance process, which was kind of really went bad. And there was similar kind of like governance processes in Telos, Tezos. There are different blockchain governances out there. But when it comes to Wax, I think it's a bit unique position, because Wax governance is mainly focused on ensuring the quality of the node operators or the guilds, but also it kind of indirectly contributes to the quality and the reliability of the network as well. And I think it's really important as an ecosystem. When we are growing, we want to ensure that we provide reliable services. There are people out there outside the EOS.io ecosystem who always complain, like from instance, Ethereum or Tron, who always complain that EOS.io isn't decentralized because there are like 21 block producers or guilds in this case. So having this kind of governance system in place, which is transparent for everyone to see, it's open for everyone to join and participate, I think it's really important when we are working in a decentralized setup. So I see Wax governance has an important responsibility to ensure the quality and sanctity of the network.
Yeah, and Yeah, I will probably leave it at that, because we were here to talk to you about what your take on everything, and I think we will come back to the governance questions when we move forward. And you mentioned that we have block producers and we have guilds on Wax. So what is the main purpose of a guild on the Wax ecosystem, in your opinion?
Well, the first and most important thing, obviously, for a guild is to provide a reliable infrastructure so that the network is stable. I think that's the main objective of any guild out there. In addition to that, we as a community member, guilds are members of the community, so they are not only leading the network or maintaining the network, but at the same time they're being part of the growth as well. So I think that's also important as a kind of like influencers and leaders within the community. They have to be upfront, leading the charge, building more applications or providing more tool sets or reaching out wider outside the ecosystem and bringing more users to the ecosystem. So these are some things that are really important criteria for the guild.
And I know that in your proposal, and I also listened to the interview that you had yesterday. What, like, you want to have more objective measurements, and how can you put measurements on the things that you just mentioned, like outreach and community and things like that?
So I know, like it's a bit difficult, right? Like when you have things which are a bit subjective, trying to bring objectiveness into that process is always difficult. So what I did was I tried to put together like a 4-step proposal today. So the first thing is I focused on a bit of technical operations. I saw in the comments yesterday that after the session that the OIG team is currently working on improving the system to add more reliable based metrics. So I think that's good. That's something I was proposing as well myself. And then the second system is the TRL based system, which is basically the abbreviation is technology readiness level. So this has been industry standard for quite a long time. So whether you see at the European Union or whether you see any other application grants, for instance. So there are many projects applying for these grants today, right? So how do you measure the competitiveness of these different applications? So there is an industry standard system called TRL system. So I want to bring such kind of system into the WAX space, which is suitable for the WAX ecosystem, and customize that stages, TRL stages. It's from 1 to 9. So we can have a similar system within the WAX. So for instance, a project like Atomic Hub or Blogs can be like TRL 9, for instance, because it's proved, there are many users using it, and you can get like 9 points for it, for instance. And if you're just like open sourcing some code which can be used by guilds or someone else, which is really hard to track, in those cases it can be like 3 or 2 or whatever, right? So we need such kind of objective system where we can put different products, different business leads into different categories. Because if not, it's just going to be back and forth discussions, which is really pointless. Instead, we should be focusing on more the growth rather than just these useless discussions, in my opinion. So that's going to be my second proposal. And third proposal that I was planning to bring was mandatory marketing metrics. I know like IG's commented yesterday and the day before that they have this system in place today, but like I don't know, like if it isn't consistent across all the guilds or reports or evaluation, I think it has to be improved. It has to be transparent, in my opinion. And automation is the other thing I heard that they're working on. So seems like my ideas and proposals are kind of aligned with the IG, the existing IGs as well. So these are my 4 proposals that I plan to bring to address this. I know like objectivity and marketing metrics and these all things can be faked, but at the same time, when we have a transparent, like a simple view, right? So there are 30 plus guilds today. So these are the metrics for this month from this particular guild. Even though if they're buying ads or whatever, if they're buying views or whatever, it doesn't matter. You can still see how everyone is doing. Because I see some guilds write an article 2 months back, but they still get the same points as the guild who is working this month, same as you, for instance. You're getting 3 points for the same work. But another guild who just wrote an article 2 months back and hasn't done anything since then, he's still getting like 2 points. How is that fair? I don't think that's fair for you and for them as well, and for the guilds community.
Yeah, okay. It was a lot of topics at once. Let's start with we have 2 guilds that are actually building the automation for infrastructure checks, and that is the Sentinel and we have Black Lucian. Black Lucian is building some automated API checks, and Sentinel is building a whole suite of items to check the entire infrastructure over and over again. And they are pretty much, well, Black Lucians is on GitHub, one can use it already, and Sentinels, I think he has a product that he was gonna show for everyone here in just a few days probably, if we can match time and everything. So that is coming, so that is great. And I mean, if we take metrics, everything we measure will be cheated. That's like, if the metric is the goal is already broken.
Well, I wouldn't say like, so even when you have these kind of systems, right, the example that I took with TRL, right? So when people who are working with these grant evaluations, so they have a room of flexibility. So they have a 33% view, or their decision process is for their gut feeling. So that can be that kind of percentage, which is just a subjective opinion. That is fine.
So there's still a part that is subjective.
Yeah, of course, it can be like that. But at the end of the day, you need to have a clear metric. So everyone just follows this template, fills the information in, and everyone can see, okay, this is the metrics of this particular guild during this month, and these are the metrics of this guild during this month. Of course, we can easily identify who is faking it. I don't think that will be really difficult to see. If someone is getting like 5,000 views and he's doing really little in the community, then you can really understand. So it's important to also identify who's trying to fake or who's trying to cheat the system.
But if we take like APIs is a great example here, because all guilds are forced by the Office of Inspector General to run APIs for good and bad. But some of them are not used, but they get the same points. And this is part of the problem that you're also talking about. We need some kind of metrics to support this. But how can we objectively measure these things, because the stats come from the person that report them?
Absolutely. I think reliability is one thing that I was focusing on, of course. But if you look at the, I'm just looking at it right now. So if you look at the nodes today, there are 35 healthy nodes API endpoints, and there are more than 13 which aren't working right now. And 2 of them are actually in the top 21. Today. So reliability.
Are you using the ledger-wise?
Yeah. I'm just looking at it right now. Yeah. I don't know what's the issues, but so I think rather than just fixing your nodes when it's time for evaluation, you need to have a reliability system. I know like OIG is working now. I'm really happy for that. I'm really looking forward to it. But the point you mentioned with the API, so we will be reporting it. It's always hard to see how many requests are you getting on your nodes, because it is from the client side, like on our end. That's how we can measure it. Well, I think that's always hard measurement. So I don't know, like we should find a way and discuss in the community if we can come up with some innovative solution to really track these metrics. But I know like some nodes are used heavily and some nodes are not. Maybe we need to have some kind of load balancer, which kind of balances a request across the nodes in the whole ecosystem. Because if you're having 50 API endpoints and only 2 are being used, it doesn't make any sense to run the 50 nodes. It's just a waste of energy.
Yeah, and like there's good to have some extra in case something happens. I mean,
yeah, of course.
Like we had one guild that got hit by thunder. I mean, if that happens to a place or a fire explosion, I mean, there can be many things, and it's wiped. We need to have some kind of reliability. Everything can die because that one setup crashed, or the person running it gets in a car accident, can't fix the problem. I mean, there are variables that means that we need to have some kind of extra backup settings, even if they are not as reliable. They are still good enough to keep using until we get a more reliable service again. So I think there is some kind of purpose with it as well.
I think it's going to be hard to measure whose node is being used heavily or whose node is being used less. because now when we are adding these more reliable automation tools, we will be doing more requests sometimes rather than actual request in itself. So we need to see how we can measure this in a good way and reliable way. Maybe we will come up with a system together as a community that can be used across the board.
Yeah, and I think it needs to be measured. I think it needs to be measured multiple times. We tried to do that with some of the on-chain metrics with better and worse success. We measured like CPU time of API request and things like that and put them on chain. Wasn't really used a lot, and I think currently that script is actually not online. But yeah, so that's like what a guild on Wax should do, and how to measure it like objectively and subjectively. Kafer actually had a comment here, and like if an article is posted 2 months ago, nothing new has come, that person that team shouldn't get any score because that has been a mistake. So, and that can happen when you review things. There could be some kind of mistake that is happening as well.
Yeah, that's always possible. But the purpose has to be like to avoid these mistakes, right? So if we have a set template to follow for everyone, okay, I enter my metrics for this month, and everyone has to do the same thing. If you're not entering, then you're not going to get the points, and everyone will see this. And we have guilds who evaluate each other as well. So if everyone is following a different template today, then it's going to be hard for evaluators as well. So I want to set the template, even though we say, and I know like OIG team is really working hard in the last couple of months to ensure this. I think it's important to set the template so that everyone, we will avoid these mistakes.
Yeah, and I also think that some kind of metric is needed. Like I always take metrics from the YouTube channel and send in and things like that. But as you say, it should be templated so it's easy to get an overview. It should, in my opinion, be on chain the metrics as well.
Yes, over the time, yes, we can have them on chain. And I just want to be clear as well. It's not like 100% objective. You can still have, as an IGs, you can have a certain percentage as a subjective opinion. And this is done across the industry. This is not something we are reinventing right now. This is being done, and this is being used in many processes today. So why not use the industry standards rather than just reinventing ourselves something? We have been trying to improve this for almost more than 12 months now, and we are still improving. So we need to get there soon.
And with such I mean, those industry standards are like, I haven't worked with them, so I take you as someone that has done it. So you will have to answer this kind of question if I'm speculating in the wrong way or right way. Are they made to evaluate different types of products as well?
Absolutely. Yeah, because just the last week, I have been filling in an application for EIC European grant. It's like 30 pages. So there is a set template that everyone has to follow, and everyone has to define different work packages and so forth. And you need to put yourself, which stage is it in currently? Is it like TRL 5, TRL 3, TRL 9? So if you search Google TRL, you will find these stages as well. So you can easily relate most of the products that we are building, or most of the business development use cases that we're doing. We can easily relate and build a similar system which suits our purpose. So then you can easily see, okay, this particular guild is working on a product which is TRL 3, so it's going to get 3 points. So Atomic Hub in this case is TRL 9 because it is already being used, validated, and everything is done. So TRL 9. So it's a simple objective system. And we can remove as much subjectivity as possible within the process.
Yeah, man. Yeah, this sounds good, but I haven't used it, so I will take your word for it. And I mean, we need some kind of template to do this properly, so that's great. And okay, what is your take on the presence of the community in the Wax governance system?
Well, I think so far it has been a bit less, right? Because I know like this, token distribution right now is a bit more towards the Wax team control. But like, I think moving on, I think it's changing. I just heard yesterday from one of the Wax team members that they're not going to be participating within this governance process right now within these elections. So that's a good sign, because now the community is deciding. And I think as an IG, I think our responsibility moving forward would be to more engage the community. It's not just like writing an article every month about the GILS report or something like that, but also bringing the community. And because the purpose of OIG is to educate community in choosing the GILS, which are good for the ecosystem. So if we don't communicate as an OIG team outside, much outside, engage with influencers like you yourself within the community, right? So we need to do this more and more moving forward so that we can bring the community into the governance. And maybe we need to add some kind of gamification as well. Like if someone is participating in the governance process, they get some extra rewards or whatever, kind of similar to what we have right now with voting for 21 guilds and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and I agree. The communication, well, in WAX in general, the communication needs to be improved in a lot of ways. We need to reach more people outside and inside the community with a lot of these things. That's like one way why I started this YouTube channel, is to get communication out, to get basic tutorials out for people, and give producing information so people can understand what is happening, because a lot is happening. I know,
like it's really tough job, and you're doing an awesome job. I must say, like since the last 3 months, I have been following you with this journey that you started. I think it's really cool to see. I try to do it myself with a couple of videos, and it's a painful job editing videos and pushing them out. And yeah, so I think whoever is doing this job within the community, I think you need to take advantage of this and reach out and engage more, because getting the content and coming up with those ideas is really hard. That's the hardest part. So as an OIG, I think we need to give you the content, come up with more ideas, participate in a session with like 30 minutes or so every month, just to share the report, not only just writing it in the Medium post, but also actually talking about the report as well. So
yeah, and that's actually something that I have been wanting to do. I actually recorded something with Rodrigo. I think it's 2 months ago now. Okay. It was supposed to have coming out. It got lost on track, and now we have said that okay, we will do a new one later that is a bit updated, instead of pushing out something that was before even Kiefer got elected. So that it was a while ago. Okay. And I think that is great, because we need to get it out, and as you said, it should be something that is reoccurring and short, and that yes. Sounds good. Let's see on my list of questions. Yeah, how do you want to impact the Office of Inspector Generals and the guilds of the WAX blockchain ecosystem?
Well, as I mentioned, like I have these four proposals that I put forward. I think that's going to be really good for the ecosystem and the WAX guilds in general. But my views on the OIG and WAX governance in general have been summarized. Like I try to put together my views in the candidacy proposal clearly. So I put forward 5 principles, right? So one is objectivity within the guilds who are evaluating, within the IGs who are evaluating the guilds. And the second thing is assisting token holders in making their decision on who to vote for in guilds. And the third thing is communications that we just discussed, reaching wider into the ecosystem, outside the ecosystem, and talking about governance. And fourth one is the quality and reliability basis, rather than just validating if they're working or not at the time of evaluation. And the fifth thing should be, I think this is my personal opinion, I think OIG team members who are also the guilds shouldn't get any extra benefits or points for the work that they are doing. And I think it's a clear conflict of interest. I know like we will discuss about this, because I am in kind of like that situation as well. So yeah, these are the 5 principles that I put forward in the candidacy proposal, so everyone can go and check out. And at the end of the day, I want a fair system which can be achievable by everyone, not only the people in the top, but also like all the standbys as well, who are working really hard. Because OIGs will decide what's their business going to be, who is going to get paid this month, who is going to get food this month, right? So if we want people seriously engaged, working full time with the WAX, then we need to ensure everyone is treated fairly. If not, it's going to be a part-time gig for many of the operators out there. So
yeah, and it's very hard to evaluate all of these things, especially with the tools that has been used. As you say, I've found APIs that has been pointed to the wrong blockchain for weeks, and that should not happen.
Yes.
That just means that API is not used as well. So I guess it's not a problem, but it should be there in case we need it later.
Absolutely. And my really bad thing is that these guilds, they fix these things at the time of evaluation. And that's just worse. Like if you're not using, or if you're not participating actively for the whole time during that month, and just participating during that 1 week of evaluation, it's just useless. So I think it's important to have these systems come very fast and quickly.
That template you were talking about, do you think that would counter the point farming that could happen, because you will rate products in a different way?
Yeah, I think so too. Of course, like when you have a point-based system, everyone tries to get as many points as possible, because they are out there like set goals, right? So I think when you have this kind of template-based system, which is a bit more objective and everyone follows the same templates, then we can compare one with another and identify, okay, if we are awarding a guild with these many points, should we award the other guild who is building this product the same points or less points? So we can have a comparative process in evaluations. So even though if they're trying to farm the points, we can still have that comparative system, so we can see clearly, okay, this guild got these many points and their product status is this TRL9, and this product status is TRL3. So that kind of objective opinion, that because it's always hard, like as the number of guilds is increasing every month, it's going to be hard to keep up for the 3 OIGs who's going to be there evaluating over the weekends or whatever the time. So I think it's important to have these kind of templates.
And I fully agree there. Let's see if I have any more of the first questions, and then I have these hypothetical moments, and they are not related to the OIG work. That is something that is important to understand. These questions are more to get to know you as a person, how you see of potential issues, how you think they should be handled on a blockchain governance layer, because it is more complex than one wants to imagine sometimes. So the first one is like a scammer on Wax got hold of a lot of Wax or NFT. So it got hold of an account, the keys to an account, some way. What should we as a blockchain do about that?
Well, on a personal level, I want whoever lost the money to get his money back, right? So that's my instinct on a personal level. But as an ecosystem, I told this yesterday as well, as an ecosystem, we agreed to follow certain rules and guidelines when we are joining or buying the tokens or whatever, right? So we know that if we lose our tokens or access to the keys, then they're lost. So I think everyone has to understand that, and everyone has to be with that. And if we, at a later date, as a community, if we decide that we need to set a new precedence where we have this process that everyone has to follow in order to recover these tokens, then maybe we can have a set precedence that, okay, the guilds has to follow. But I think that has to be done in a more communicative and governance ways that we have to figure out at a later date. But right now, with the existing system that we have, I think we can't recover those keys or the tokens if they're lost. I know, like, and everyone needs to know, because the guilds community that we have today, we actively discuss these things on a regular basis, because the other day when the KuCoin incident happened, the guilds have been discussing these things. Should we do anything? Should we take any action about this? So the community needs to understand that we are actually working and looking on top of these things. So I think it's important if the community thinks really strong about it, they have to reach out, and they have to reach out to the IGs or the guilds or the Wax team to come up with some kind of new system where someone can recover the tokens and so forth. Because it could happen to anyone. I saw really famous people who has been in this ecosystem for a quite long time lose their keys, for instance, or there could be many ways for people to scam you. So maybe in future we will have a system in a decentralized way where we can recover these tokens.
Have you, since you are participating in multiple chains like EOS, Telos, Wax, FIO, and other things that you mentioned before,
Yeah.
have you seen any kind of system like that actually works so far?
Not really. I'm gonna be honest about it. Like in EOS, we saw that with ECAF, all the drama that happened. It was a pretty much big flop. And in Telos, there was a plan for having an arbitrator system, which isn't developed yet. I don't know how it's gonna happen and so forth. Um, but in FIO, I haven't heard about it yet in FIO. So I haven't seen any success with this so far. So we will have to see moving forward on how we can build. But maybe because we have a Wax Cloud wallet where we can easily link the accounts with the email IDs or so forth, maybe there could be a system where we could recover the tokens because we can identify the people in a way. So yeah, there could be potentially a solution in the future, but not right now.
Yeah, there's nothing in place for it right now. And the other one is if a person or a team is mass producing NFTs and that is consuming resources on chain, RAM is being consumed. What should the blockchain as an ecosystem do about that?
Well, if someone wants to do something on the network, they're free to do so. So I don't think we should do anything about it because at the end of the day, they're buying the tokens from the open market. So it's impacting the ecosystem in a good way by increasing the token value. So if someone is trying to do spam the network intentionally or whatever, like I think they're free to do so, and the operators are ready to serve the network. So.
Yeah, I agree. People, if someone wants to buy a lot of Wax and buy a lot of RAM to create NFTs, the people that will have problems with that is the explorers like Wax Explorer. He will have a problem because he's trying to keep track of all NFTs and he will have a hard time to filter this and to get all the proper transactions.
Yeah, absolutely. We need to obviously look at case by case basis and see if we can come up with a solution where we, as an API provider, right? So as an operator, you need to decide if you want to store these transactions or not. It's your decision. You have that flexibility and freedom. And for instance, I know like EOS Sweden will store everything. They set their precedents for themselves. So it could be different for different operators. So find an operator which is best for you and use their API endpoints.
Yeah, I mean on Wax we already have a ton of documents in the API, and we have not really started to get real usage so far.
Yeah.
And Ben actually says that he disagrees with that, so that will be interesting whenever he has the opportunity to come on and discuss it. And he says that is not the problem. He has some other kind of problem. And Ben is the guy behind Wax Explorer for anyone listening.
Okay. Yeah. He's also participating, right?
Yes, he is one of the OIG candidates as well, together with his girlfriend. And that is for me something I find interesting. What is your take that two person is running for this candidate?
Well, I'm a bit unsure actually, like what kind of rules and guidelines do we have actually when it comes to OIGs? Because the idea was to have 3 people, physical people, to be part of the OIGs. I know that they want to share the workload between themselves because they have full-time jobs. And also they need to run the Wax Explorer and so forth. So I don't know how it's going to work out. We have to see if he's going to get elected into the position. But yeah, as I stand right now, I think it has to be one person who is working full time, who is dedicated to the community and the guilds to be responsive at any time needed.
Yeah, and I am actually not gonna comment on that because I haven't made up my mind if I think it's good or bad. I'm leaning towards that. I actually think I don't see any problem with it. If someone wants to run as a team, that could be beneficial to the whole ecosystem.
I don't see a problem with having 2 people, but I think you need to have a full-time person who is dedicated, right? So I think that's important. You need to have more time dedicated, because if you're stating the reason that having 2 people is because you have lack of time, I feel something is problematic there.
Yeah. And if we take that to example, you said before that you are running a lot of businesses. You have 15 people that you manage. How will you be able to manage the time to run as an OEG and run as a guild and a block producers on other chains and
I
so
think
on?
that's a really good question. So if you look at my LinkedIn profile or any other place, so I have been having 3 jobs so far. So I recently came out of my full-time job, working at as a blockchain consultant at a company called Alten. So now I'm basically free right now. I have these projects which are being operated by through consultancies through outsourcing. So they're pretty much taking care of most of the activities. I just be part of the meetings sometimes. So I have been doing this for quite some time now. I had a full-time job before, and then I was operating my startups and projects. Now I don't have a full-time job, so I just have these projects. So I have a lot of time right now to focus on Wax. And as an operator within the Wax ecosystem as a guild, right now, if I'm going to be elected, I clearly mentioned that we will really reduce our participation to be a top block producer, or even completely remove our services as well as an operator. So I'm going to have more time focused towards the ecosystem. So that's not going to be a problem in my case.
Yeah, but that's a good answer. What you said that you may actually unregister. What would like? Why would you maybe do it? Why would you maybe reduce it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
so what I mentioned in the candidacy proposal is 2 things. So today our node is being used by a couple of applications. We still want to be there, provide our services as a team, but we don't want to be the one participating in the evaluation processes and trying to reach the top 21. We will still run as a standby producer without any obligations, right? As long as we are not competing with the other guilds, I think it's still fair for us to operate our nodes and run as a standby producer. But if the community and the Wax team and the guilds think that or have a strong opinion against this, then we are fine to remove our services and drop our registration as a guild, and we will discontinue our services within 30 days notice. So that, but at the same time, I want to state it clear that we will be there, we will provide our services still, even though if we remove from a standby position, we will still be there, we will support the community and so forth.
Yeah, good answer. And I think is the only thing is how can a community communicate? I guess we will find out over Telegram and Twitter if people
Yeah,
don't like it.
we will.
I don't think that is any issues. How do you feel that you compare to the other 3 candidates for the OIG?
Uh, well, I think it's interesting. So we have one candidate. Was it like from a completely different background, coming from completely a world of art and digital space and NFTs? Or yeah, so it's going to be interesting to see. I think it's Loudjoy, was it?
Yeah, he has actually been part of a block producer before.
Oh, okay. Because when I read his candidacy, his background was a bit more into art and that kind of stuff. He's coming from a technical background per se. Uh, I think he was part of EOS Detroit, if I'm not wrong, before.
Yeah, I'm not sure which one it was. I know that I have seen him in a lot of the communities
Yeah,
before.
yeah, but it's, I think comparatively, one of my strengths is being a block producer or a guild myself. I think I can bring a different perspective. And as a leader who has been leading a multiple projects outside the ecosystem, I know like these kind of systems, TRL system, for instance, in place, which is an industry standard that I'm really surprised that no one else has brought into that right now. So I can bring a different perspective. And I already have established channels, like for instance, with Swedish Blockchain Association, I have the channels there to reach much wider into the blockchain community. And I have a reputation there, and that could be interesting to see as well, compared to the other guilds out there.
And since you bring that up, the Swedish Blockchain Association, what are you guys doing on a day-to-day basis? How are you reaching more people through that?
Sure. So we started back in 2018 as a nonprofit organization. We still are a nonprofit. So it's a completely purely voluntary basis. So we initially had more than 10 people working. So we were one of the first ones in the Nordics to organize one of the biggest event called Bloxpo. We did that together with Ivan on Tech and also an organization called Stockholm Blockchain Association. So it was like more than 1,000 people participated during 2018. And then we did a bunch of events over the last 2 years. And since the beginning of this year, what we have been doing is organizing monthly events and sessions. So we had one with Wax, where we had Ivan Vandenberg talking about Wax. I think it was when the first GPK launch was done. I think right after that, we did this event. So it was really great. And we do monthly events. So every month we had different people coming from the whole ecosystem. So since last month, we had, I think, Maker DAO, was it? Yeah. And this month we are going to have Fio, Luke Stokes, for instance. So we are trying to feature as many people as possible. And I know like one of our members within the Blockchain Association is actually working with one of the guilds. I just got to know that yesterday, in creating content, for instance, writing blogs and stuff. I think it was Black Illusion or someone, if I remember correctly. So we are actively engaged within the EOS space as well. So we are doing many things. We also used to do like talks with companies like Ericsson, Volvo Cars. If you check out our Twitter page, you can see different events in the past where we talked about EOS.io specifically. I think sometimes we even feature Wax as well there as one of the third generation blockchains.
Yeah, good answer. And then I have, from my perspective, I have no idea what you guys are doing, even though I'm based in Sweden. But then again, I'm mostly paying focus to the Wax ecosystem and the EOS and FIO and whatever happens on the EOS.io ecosystem. But that's exciting to know. I didn't know that you were part of before we talked, that you were part with Ivan on creating that Blockspy event. I had no idea. So that's good. And I think actually that is that is all of my question. I think we got a good answer on most of them. I think we get to know you more, get to know what you want to do and how you want to do it. And when we go out, do you have anything that you want to add as a last comment on your OIG candidacy or anything?
Yeah, absolutely. So I just want to say this to the community, right? So I come from a different perspective, and I have this first-hand experience being a guild. So I know the pain and I know the in and outs of being a guild. I know like how it affects the team, the evaluations from the OIG. So I can bring in a different perspective overall. So I think that's going to be really my niche, or like the standout compared to other candidates out there. I think that's going to be a unique point that you have to decide on who is going to be good for the ecosystem as a whole. That said, I think you will find the link below in the description for voting. So if you think I would be a good candidate, please go and vote and support me. Sukesh Kumar Tedla, signing out.
Yeah, so all you need to do to vote is actually have stake tokens. Go there and you can log in with your wallet and you can vote for one of the candidates. And as Kiefer said, I said there's 3 other candidates, and it's 4 candidates, but it's 3 other people. Well, there's 4 other that you can vote for, so it's all good.
5, right?
Yeah, exactly. So I was wrong there. It's Big Mike, it's Ben, it's you, it's Javier, and Lovejoy. Yeah. We just talked about him and I missed him anyway in my head. Yeah. So yeah, there's a lot of them that you can vote for, and you can actually read about them. I'm trying to get them on before the voting ends, so you have a chance to impact your vote with getting to know them more.
Yeah, but if you have any questions, just reach out. Don't feel free to reach out on Telegram or LinkedIn or any other place. You can just search Sukesh Tedla and you will find me.
And I think they are linked in your Medium post as well. Yeah, so you can find them there. So thank you all for listening, and I hope you enjoy this little more governance, deeper topics than just the NFT hype things that we usually cover on this channel. So peace over and out.